It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we got to go fast now.
The Houston Astros secured their series versus the Miami Marlins with a 5-3 Game 2 win last night as Isaac Paredes hit a 3-run homer in the 5th inning. The Astros now sit at 49-54 on the season. Game 3 is tonight with first pitch from Dyken Park set for 7:10. You can listen to the action on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. The Louisiana Raging Cajuns lost a big piece of their athletic program as AD Dr. Brian Maggard will take the job with the Mizzou Tigers. Maggard was the Vermilion Whites athletic director since 2017. SEC Media Day 3 from Tampa, Florida begins today as RP3 Meche and the Lowdown with D-Lo will broadcast live from there. Today's teams that will be available at the podium and on the floor are the head coach and players from Alabama, Florida, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. In other big news out of college football is that there will be multiple rule changes for next season. First is that an offensive pass interference call will go from 15 to a 10-yard penalty. The other rule change is that a second half targeting penalty will not carry over to the first half of the next game for a player. The rule applies to first-time offenders. And the Miami Dolphins agreed to a 3-year, $51.3 million contract extension with linebacker Jordan Brooks that includes $35 million in guarantees. I'm James Meche, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana sports station, your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Dynamic duos are nothing new to Louisiana sports fans. Breeze and Colston, Burrow and Chase. And here in Acadiana, we have our very own dynamic duo.
You're beautiful.
It's the big, bald, bearded, and beautiful one, Raymond Parch III.
I'm sexy and I know it.
And the man with the best head of hair in sports talk radio in Louisiana and Mississippi, James Meche. Here is RP3 and Meche on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Good day to you and yours, and welcome into RP3 and Meche as we're broadcasting live from Digital Drive / Radio Row here inside the Marriott on Water Street in downtown Tampa for SEC Media Days. And of course, all of our coverage is powered by our friends at Service Chevrolet Cadillac. I am the big, the bald, the beautiful one. Got BP sitting here. We may today actually get him on the airwaves with us. We've tried numerous times, but power outages, which we had at the hotel last night, by the way, which was not ideal. Power outages, impromptu interviews, and just shenanigans. So we're going to try to find a time to get BP on the air while we're here in Tampa. I know he was chopped it up with Dawson Angelo, but I feel like he's really would prefer to sit in with RP3 and Meche. And of course, we're here. That means James Meche is back inside the Beal and Bear studios in Upper Lafayette. Beal and Bear, Acadiana's hometown lawyers. Mr. Meche, how are you today, my friend?
We're halfway there. Time to start the back half of the week.
We're trying our best.
Oh, yeah.
We're trying our best, my friend. Oh, we got a tremendous show lined up for you today. This is what we got coming up on this Wednesday edition of RP3 and Meche, broadcasting live once again from SEC Media Days here in Tampa. Coming up in about 15 minutes, Jacques Doucet, our old friend from WAFB in Baton Rouge. He's been here all week as well. We'll preview, talk a little LSU, of course, because we're an LSU affiliate. He covers LSU. We'll also get his thoughts on what he's seen and what he's heard so far this week here at SEC Media Days. Then we'll be talking with the new Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl CEO. That's David Epps. He'll join us. We'll talk about them and the changing landscape. How do they adjust with the kickoff classics? How do they adjust with making sure that they're in part of what is going to be happening moving forward with the college football playoff? The Peach Bowl is going to be part of that in that new contract. So we'll talk about all that with David Epps, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl CEO. That'll be coming up at 11:30. And then we're going to play some audio for you in hour number 2 of both Kirby Smart and Alex Golish, who were on the stage yesterday. And we'll talk all things Alabama with Drew DeArmond, our buddy from Huntsville Radio. We always have him on, get his thoughts. Kalen DeBoer and the Alabama contingent kicked off today here at SEC Media Day. So we've already had Alabama go on the stage, Florida go on the stage, and then this afternoon it's going to be Ole Miss, and then it's going to be Texas A&M. So it's kind of a blockbuster day here, day Wednesday at SEC Media Day. So we'll talk all things Bama with Drew DeArmond. And then our final guest will be our buddy Connor O'Gara, formerly of Saturday Night Down South, but now he's got a new podcast outfit that he's here with. So we'll talk all things SEC, get his thoughts about the coaches, the players, so forth and so forth. So got a jam-packed day for you as always, and that's what we try to do here. But let's go ahead and get things rolling on a Wednesday, and let's go ahead with today's specials.
The fellas can't help with your lunch plans, but they can serve up the top stories of the day in bite-sized pieces. Time to order up today's specials here on RP3 and Meche, presented by Southwest Volkswagen, located at 6184 Johnston Street. Order up.
Our special for today is, of course, SEC Media Days Day 2 vestige. Now, we could talk about the Houston Astros, right? We could do that. They won that series. They beat the Little Fish last night to lock up a series victory over them. That's a big deal. And they just traded a pitcher, Nate Pearson, a relief pitcher. They've traded them to the Royals for a prospect. But we're going to put the Stros talk on the back burner, and we're going to talk about SEC. Day number 2 was interesting. We talked a little bit about it on the air yesterday, James, about Kirby Smart's comments and how he echoed the sentiment that Greg Sankey had mentioned about there had been talks and conversations being had about veering off, leaving the NCAA. Now, I've seen Coach Sankey talk a little bit more, not Coach Sankey, Commissioner Sankey talk a little bit more about that. You know, it's not exactly how his comments should have been taken, but obviously Media Days has been a buzz with that for quite a long time. Ever since we got here, that's been the big talking point. The SEC departing, the SEC moving away, the SEC doing this, doing that. So that's kind of interesting what's going to happen there. That was a big talking point yesterday as well. And the other big thing, of course, was yesterday, Auburn was here. Got to hear from Alex Golish, the new head coach. He was right here, James, in Tampa, literally 5 months ago, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Because he was the South Florida head coach. And, it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to go with Auburn, because there's been a lot of conversation about them being sneaky good this year. That Golish, and the thing is that Golish, and we talked with our buddy from Auburn yesterday, that Golish is bringing not only himself, but he's bringing staff members. He's bringing his starting quarterback. He's bringing three wide receivers from South Florida, and he's bringing his starting center. So the Radio Row Digital Drive has been a bit of a buzz about, could Auburn be that sneaky team this year with everything they got coming back? Plus, they retained DJ Durkin to be the defensive coordinator. He was the defensive coordinator under Hugh Freeze and then served as the interim coach when they fired Hugh Freeze last season. They retained him. They hit the portal hard. They got an LSU guy. They got a Missouri guy, so forth and so forth. So I don't think Auburn's going to be a team that's going to be competing for a playoff spot. I don't think they're going to be competing for an SEC championship, but I do think they're probably going to upset some teams that people aren't expecting. And that was a big talking point yesterday, James, is that Auburn could be that sneaky team that takes a big step back to being relevant, maybe not contending for anything this year, but maybe 7 or 8 wins. And we think, well, 7 or 8 wins, that's a failure of a season. That means you're not, in the playoff, you're not this, and this. But where Auburn's been, that would be a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I feel like with the fact that you have your quarterback going with your coach and the coaching staff and the receivers, like you mentioned, that's always a big plus because a big part of the offense is already put together and they already have that rapport on the outside with the signal caller. It's just can the quarterback and the offensive line, and specifically the center, get in line as well. Plus, I like the fact that the coaching staff, and they seem pretty confident. Hearing from Golish, hearing the clips earlier already on the Jordy Holberg show, I like what Coach Golish has to say. It's just we always have that conversation of, can they make that transition? Like, they're talented players, no doubt, but can the guys jump from the level of South Florida in that conference to going to Auburn and being a part of SEC and competing at that level every week, especially now that we are at that 9-game SEC conference schedule? Like, are they ready to make that jump?
I think it's one thing if you're trying to make a jump from being a team that won like 5 games a year ago to winning 10, right? That's a seismic jump. That's kind of on another level, right? I think that's a different conversation. I think that the conversation, and we spoke yesterday with our guy from the Auburn Network, was their jump that they're talking about. I think Vegas has it at like 6.5 or 7.5 is like the win total. And he said, look, he says, if in year 1 under Alex Golish, Auburn wins 7 games and has a chance to win an 8th game by going to a bowl game, they're going to be happy because that's obviously better than what they've had in recent years, right? And they're making the right step, taking the right step in the direction. So I think expectations are different, but we did have a joke, at Auburn, the expectations are through the roof every single year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Also, yesterday we had South Carolina and Vanderbilt in the afternoon sessions. Obviously, Shane Beamer is the coach that everyone's talking is on the hot seat, that they have to win at least 7 games or 8 games for him to keep his job because, they cratered last year. They, a couple of years ago, they flirted with the college football playoff. They were in the argument with like Alabama and others about trying to get in there, and they didn't get in. And Lenore Sellers was your freshman All-American and named the freshman of the year. And then last year, their offensive line got bad. Their defense took a step back, and Lenore Sellers looked pedestrian. So they were bad last year. They were one of the worst teams in the conference. Can they bounce back? There's going to be a lot of pressure there on Sellers to increase his draft stock. There's going to be a lot of pressure there on Shane Beamer to get the job done. Because if not, they could be, no longer there in South Carolina. And then Vanderbilt's interesting. I don't feel like we're talking enough about the Commodores. They went from the doldrums, they went from the basement, they went from being the worst team year in, year out in the SEC to, with Diego Pavia being there at quarterback and Clark Lee really turning around, and they've had some good recruits. They've hit the portal the right way. They've done nice things. They've had unprecedented success the last couple of years, but Diego's gone and a lot of those players are gone. It doesn't feel like anyone's talking about Vanderbilt and what the expectations are. They've raised the floor, so to speak, right, for them. Obviously, they don't have Pavia, but they've brought in top recruits because of the type of success they've had the last couple of years. So Vanderbilt feels like a team that no one's really talking about, and they're kind of getting lost in the shovel. And I think everyone's expecting, James, for them to fall off because of no Pavia and no others. But we'll see. But we'll see what happens there. But that's interesting. That's one of the more fascinating teams to see if that's just a blip, kind of like with Coach Sumlin was at A&M when he had Johnny Manziel, remember? And they were really good for a couple years, and they went into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama and so forth and so forth. And then after that group of guys left, right, Johnny Manziel, Mike Evans, some others, all of a sudden they weren't the same, right? And he can never get it back on track. Can Clark Lee do that at Vanderbilt and get it back on track and keep them as a consistent team that's competing like around 9 to 10 wins a year? I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting transitional year for the Commodores.
And I do think just naturally when you have a quarterback, even though this station has never been very high on Pavia, we do have to give credit where credit was due with him being a Heisman candidate yet last year. When you lose that guy to the draft and you're now having to replace him, it only feels natural that they're going to go down at least one peg, more likely than not. So instead of them being a 10-win team, I don't see why they couldn't be a 7 or 8-win team and kind of be in the middle of where everything is, especially if Auburn does get to that 7-8 win mark and you kind of got just a messy middle part of the SEC. It feels like the Commodores very easily could be a part of that, part of the group.
Could be. Let's go ahead and quickly unveil the poll question of the day. Don't get any comments or anything like that. Let's just unveil it before we have to take our first time out.
Yeah, it's perfect, especially since we're now talking about those Vanderbilt Commodores. Looking towards the head coaches themselves, which one of these SEC coaches do you really not want to have to pick a fight with? If you had to pick one specifically, who do you not want to have to fight? Is it Clark Lee with Vanderbilt? Is it maybe Oklahoma's Brent Venables? Perhaps John Summerall from Florida? Or is it one of the other 13 coaches? As of right now, Summerall leads the way in the new voting options at about 38%, about 12 to 13% towards Lee and Venables, and the last 38% have gone towards other.
So keep voting on our poll question of the day. Keep leaving your comments on Facebook, X, and on our YouTube channel, ESPN Southwest Louisiana, which, of course, you can stream the show right now, not only our show, but all of our 4 live and local shows. We got to take a quick time out. Our first one of today, we're going to bring on our first guest. Got to set the tone on a Wednesday, right? You're going to do so with about a television broadcasting legend, a mainstay here in the state of Louisiana. Our old friend Jacques Doucet from WAFB will be joining us to talk LSU and all things SEC. That's next.
Today's specials here on RP3 and Meche, presented by Southwest Volkswagen, located at 6184 Johnston Street.
Now is a great time to save at Southwest Volkswagen as summer is getting hot. Get the 2026 Volkswagen Atlas for only 0.9 APR for 48 months, or take advantage of $3,500 in customer bonus cash. The Volkswagen Atlas with third-row seating, amazing technology, and one of the most comfortable drives you'll experience. Don't wait. Get down to Southwest Volkswagen today, located at 6184 Johnston Street in Lafayette, or you can give them a call, 337-895-0110 for more details.
From Tiger Stadium to the Texas state line, ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles is your home for live and local sports talk in Southwest Louisiana. We're your official home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros. ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles also tackles the latest involving the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, McNeese Cowboys, and New Orleans Saints. So keep it locked right here. ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Do you know how many tax resolution firms have been forced to close because they were taking advantage of people or have gone out of business? It happens all the time. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. As a matter of fact, they're national tax relief companies that are currently under court orders to cease operations. So if you have IRS issues, do not fall for the threats and scare tactics of the national so-called tax relief companies. The Bryson Law Firm has been doing this for decades. We have a AAA BBB rating, and our entire focus is IRS problems and tax liability issues. An IRS problem is a legal problem. Let the Bryson Law Firm help you get relief the right way. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Don't put it off any longer. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Bryson Law Firm. LSB filing number LA2519684.
Looking for your next firearm? Come visit Louisiana Gun Shop in Broussard. We've got financing options, 12 months same as cash, plus layaways up to 90 days. With a wide selection of new and used guns, we've got something for every budget, big or small. Have an old gun collecting dust? Trade it in or turn it into cash. Need parts? We've got the largest selection of AR-15 components in the area, from springs to grips and buttstocks. Explore our ever-changing used inventory online at LouisianaGunShop.com. Louisiana Gun Shop, your one-stop shop for firearms and more.
It's 9 a.m. You just received a voicemail from your boss.
Hey, Janet. Heads up. We got an important meeting coming up Thursday. The big guys are coming into town, so I need you in charge of lunch, and we've got to look good.
Luckily for Janet, she knows a place, and she knows her boss will be impressed.
Honey Baked Ham can cater your next event. Delicious and freshly sliced deli trays, box lunches with sandwich, chips, and dessert. Or try our fresh salad boxes and the perfect touch with a meat and cheese tray. Honey Baked Ham Company.
Before hitting the road, get hooked up at Match Trailers on Bertrand Drive. Everything you need from truck equipment, accessories, and trailer parts, Match Trailers has it. Match Trailers, 1849 Bertrand Drive in Lafayette, or give Matt a call at 235-7534.
Delta Home Center and Delta Trailer Sales, your one-stop shop for utility and cargo trailers, heavy-duty dump and gooseneck trailers, portable buildings, cabins, decks, porches, fences, carports, and site-built metal shops. Located at Exit 7 in Carencro or at deltatrailersales.com.
It's the conference where everything just means more, including talking season. Everybody! Back to more SEC Media Days from Tampa coverage on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station, and powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac.
And welcome back into RP3 and Meche for our special SEC Media Days edition of the show on this Wednesday. Our first guest today is a man that has been on the airwaves for quite a long time. He is one of the most trusted television sports journalists that our state has and has been that way for a long time. He's originally from Acadiana, but he makes a living long time there in Baton Rouge for WAFB. Of course, Jacques Doucet joins us now. Jacques, good day, buddy. How are you?
Man, thank you for that way too kind intro. I appreciate it. And it's been roughly 30 years ago since the Doucet Begno football report on the Acadiana Open Channel when I was interning at KLFY in Lafayette.
There we go, bud.
Got my start there, and I've been squatting on this job in Baton Rouge for 25 years, denying other young people an opportunity to break into the business. So great to be with you here today. And we got the Florida Gator here behind us.
There we go. Matt Flynn earlier this week was not too happy about that Gator logo behind us.
Yeah.
He wasn't too fan. So look, you've been doing this a long time. You've been coming to these type of events for a long time. Just give me your thoughts on what you've heard and what you've seen so far this week.
I can't say it's been terribly entertaining so far. The first day we had the Josh Heupel soundbite about Lane Kiffin coming back to Knoxville.
That was interesting.
And hoping his fans haven't tapped the brakes, and hoping that the local grocery stores have loaded up on mustard and the local sporting goods stores have loaded up on golf balls. The second of those two, little dangerous, golf balls are hard. They can hurt people.
Yes, they can.
So let's not encourage that. And just the source it came from. I mean, I remember going to see Josh Heupel at the Fiesta Bowl when he was the head coach at Central Florida when they played LSU. And me and Darren DeQuano, the videographer at Channel 9, like, this guy is boring, man. He is vanilla, For him to say that was pretty shocking. But today I hear that John Summerall, I caught him in the TV room. I hear in the big room he was very entertaining. He might be the most entertaining coach so far. He came into our room and said that Louisiana is like two different places, I-10 and I-20. Thought that was pretty funny.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. As someone who has lived in West Bank of New Orleans and Baton Rouge and in Monroe and Alexandria and in the Lafayette area, there's the I-20 corridor is its own thing.
It is, man. I mean, I got family from Bastrop in the northeastern part, family from Shreveport, northwestern part, lived in Lafayette. I mean, Lafayette and Baton Rouge are an hour apart, and they are very, very different. And then New Orleans is its own thing, too. So
it is. What did you make of what Greg Sankey talked about on day one about this thing that we've been talking about seemingly for a couple years about the SEC getting to the point where they simply break away, maybe join some of these other conferences, and don't break away from being in college, that they would just simply have football separate. It would not be regulated and governed by the NCAA. And then Kirby kind of echoed that sentiment up there when he spoke with the media yesterday. Give me your thoughts.
Well, bear with me real quick, Raymond. My age, I'm starting to show because of my viewing habits. So during the summer, I watched a 3-part documentary on Abraham Lincoln. Each episode was like an hour and 45 minutes long. And, states leaving the union, right? I mean, we're getting out of here. And I'm thinking, is the SEC really going to just leave the NCAA? Hey, these 16 guys are over here and everybody else, you're over there, and we're just going to, play in our own thing. I wouldn't like that. I mean, I haven't liked some of the changes recently in college football, but we have been hearing about this for 2 or 3 years about how the SEC and the Big Ten are going to join forces one day, maybe with some others, and form this mega Notre Dame mega 40-team conference. And I think the NCAA has really struggled to regulate this NIL thing from the get-go. Was a horse that just ran out of the stable that nobody could ride, in terms of, well, it's supposed to be, the student athletes are supposed to do something in return for the money. It's not supposed to be pay-per-play. And it was pay-per-play, for play immediately. And it's really, look, you're going to go to Tiger Stadium, and we're going to, if LSU wins, everyone's going to cheer and be happy, and they've got a 45,000 seat, 45,000 people are waiting for season tickets. The sport has never been more popular, but I think a lot of people are getting exhausted with how much money these guys are getting paid, the four teams in 4 years, and how do you regulate it all? So it is a big problem.
It is, man, it is a big problem, and it's just, you and I are roughly the same age, and what college football was is not what it is now, and you have to adapt to the times. Doesn't mean that you have to like it, but like I can understand it. I just, when things are made and decisions are made based solely on money, solely, it's history tells us. You were bringing up like watching history documentaries. History tells us that's. That's usually that's usually not the best.
Well, I visited with Jake Delhomme last summer. I asked him, I said, if you played today, would you play 4 years with the Raging Cajuns, or would it be 1 year and then an SEC school says, hey, Jake, come for us, here's some money? He goes, that would have been hard, because I didn't come from a lot of money. And so it would have been hard for me to turn that down and not go to another school. We don't want to think about that. Brian Mitchell in the late 80s, plays all 4 years for the Cajuns. Brett Favre plays for Southern Miss. I mean, I don't know if you're going to see, guys of that caliber in the future play for the mid-majors when, the fat cats get fatter.
I agree. How much have you been bombarded, people wanting to know about Lane Kiffin and LSU?
Lane has been quiet on social media after being hyperactive on social media. I think he's only tweeted one time since May the 11th. So that's been different. But, yeah, I think that Thursday, in the past, LSU would always go on day one of SEC Media Days, and it was kind of anticlimactic for the Baton Rouge media. We'd come here, and then LSU is here and gone, and then we got 3 more days. Now we're building up to LSU on the final day, and I think, he's going to say something, and somebody's going to try to bait him to say something, try to toss him some cheese, right, to step in the trap. But, I think he is a very polarizing figure, obviously, and I think LSU fans are hoping that it's the perfect marriage with him and his fan base and the recruiting that he can do in Louisiana. There's been some talk about LSU not bringing Sam Leavitt, their quarterback, who's the most important part of the team, yet he's a bit of a mystery. We've seen him play. We know he can play, but he's coming off the foot. We haven't interviewed him yet. He hasn't done one interview since he joined LSU, which I guess is no big deal. But eventually, you're going to be the face of the team. You got to talk.
It's a great point. Lots of chatter nationally, lots of chatter here on Radio Row this week about that. The expectation for LSU is that they have to at least make a playoff. I've heard some other expectations is that, well, based on the roster they have and how much money they're spending, they got to be competing for a national championship in year one. I always think that's kind of silly. I think you need to give coaches at least a 3-year window to kind of establish things. I know that's all expedited now because of the transfer portal on NIL, but what says you?
Well, I saw that national championship or bust, and I think that's ridiculous. I think that they need to make the playoff. I think it's a playoff or bust type situation. I think 2 things can be true. I think Lane Kiffin has basically gotten everything he's asked for. Hey, I need this tackle, Jordan Seaton from Colorado. It's going to cost me $4 or $5 million. Okay, I need this quarterback. Okay, and they've, what you hear, over $40 million into this roster this year. Kiffin alone making $13-14 million. So he's gotten everything he's wanted, but at the same time, Sam Leavitt and these wide receivers have never played a down together. You've got to get your chemistry and timing down and so forth. And, LSU, for all of its tradition and Tiger Stadium, and they've made one playoff, one in this current, from the 14 to the 12. And I've talked to a couple guys from that 19 team and say, hey, It's time. We need to get back in the playoff, and so I think that is the realistic expectation as far as making it a national championship. I guess some of that storyline is from the fact he left an Ole Miss team that was 1 win away from being in the big game, and now he's at LSU. Over time, I think LSU's a better job than Ole Miss, but in today's modern college football, in which Indiana wins a national title and Vanderbilt is pushing LSU around last year in Nashville, stadium size and tradition and all that stuff isn't nearly as important as it used to be.
It's a good point, brother. It's a good point. Jacques, appreciate you making
Raymond,
the time,
thanks for
man.
having me.
Thank you so much, man. We got to take a time out. More RP3 and Mesh from Radio Row Digital Drive coming up.
Hello, Acadiana.
This is RP3 and Mesh live on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
It's time to get ready for one of South Louisiana's favorite summertime traditions. The 17th annual STM Fishing Rodeo is July 31st to August 1st at Quintana Landing in Sycamore Point. Whether you're chasing the winning catch or just looking for a great weekend on the water, enjoy great fishing, great exciting prizes, delicious food, and a fun atmosphere, all while supporting STM Catholic High. If you register by July 24th, you will be guaranteed an official event TV t-shirt. Register today at stmcougars.net/fishing.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we got to go fast now.
The Houston Astros secured the series versus the Miami Marlins with a 5-3 Game 2 win last night as Isak Paredes hit a 3-run homer in the 5th inning. The Astros now sit at 49-54 on the season. Game 3 is tonight with first pitch from Dyken Park set for 7:10. You can listen to the action on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles. The Louisiana Raging Cajuns lost a big piece of their athletic program as AD Dr. Brian Maggard will take the job with the Mizzou Tigers. Maggard was the Vermilion and White's athletic director since 2017. SEC Media Day 3 from Tampa, Florida begins today as RP3 and Mesh and the Lowdown with D-Lo will broadcast live from there. Today's teams that will be available at the podium and on the floor are the head coach and players from Alabama, Florida, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. In other big news out of college football is that there will be multiple rule changes for next season. First is that an offensive pass interference call will go from 15 to a 10-yard penalty. The other rule change is that a second-half targeting penalty will not carry over to the first half of the next game for a player. The rule applies to first-time offenders. And the Miami Dolphins agreed to a 3-year, $51.3 million contract extension with linebacker Jordan Brooks that includes $35 million in guarantees. I'm James Mesh, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana sports station, your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Do you need more of the fellas here on Southwest Louisiana's sports station? Of course you do. So go make sure and subscribe to ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles YouTube channel at ESPN_SWLA. Don't forget to turn that bell on so you get notifications for new episodes of Four Tire Change Podcast, where Dawson Iserlo talks all things NASCAR, or Cleats and Sneaks with James Mesh. Get yourself more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station at ESPN_SWLA on YouTube.
The heart of Acadiana is its local businesses, the people, families, and companies that help our communities thrive. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Candyland Cottage is the place to satisfy all your cravings. Find delicious ice creams, fresh fudges, truffles, hot dogs, sausage po' boys, Frito pies, and homemade shakes. Visit us in Scott and Rain for a sweet treat. Plan your next birthday party or field trip at Candyland Cottage.
Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana.
Looking for a spotless workplace? Variety Janitorial Services is your go-to. For office cleaning to stripping and floor waxing and carpet cleaning, your commercial space will look its best. Their reputation for perfection has grown throughout the entire Acadiana community. They deliver top-notch service with a commitment to excellence. Daily, weekly, or deep cleaning, trust the experts. Visit varietyjan.com today or call 337-298-8704 for a free quote. Variety Janitorial Services. We clean, you shine.
Whether it's a tempting text message or a quick glance at your GPS, taking your eyes off the road for just a moment can have serious consequences. This includes turning around or reaching down. Distracted driving includes eating or putting on makeup. Distracted driving is anything that diverts your attention from driving. I'm Lorraine Luquette Vinoy with Service Chevrolet Cadillac, encouraging you to drive smart, drive safe, and keep those eyes on the road, Acadiana. This message is powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac and this radio station, where safety meets style on the road.
We are the soldiers of the Louisiana Army National Guard. We are your neighbors. We are your sons and daughters. While we serve part-time, we are learning valuable life and job skills. We are earning money for college, for trade and technical schools, and for certifications. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state. We are your Louisiana Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Louisiana Army National Guard. Aired by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters and this station.
MeTV is America's #1 classic entertainment television network. And here's one of the reasons everybody loves MeTV.
Oh, it's a classic.
The great comedy lineup on weeknights.
This will be fun. Come on.
With Meche.
Loaded with snappy comebacks.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I was just funning with Barney.
And Everybody Loves Raymond.
Now we got a show.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on Channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
It's the conference where everything just means more, including talking season. Everybody! Back to more SEC Media Days from Tampa coverage on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station, and powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac.
Once again, we're broadcasting live from Digital Drive Radio Row here inside the Marriott on Water Street in downtown Tampa for SEC Media Days. And joining us now is our old friend, Connor O'Gara. He's now with the OG kickoff with the next round. Connor, thank you for making the time, brother. How are you?
Doing well, man. Good to be here.
So just give me your thoughts here about what you've seen, what you've heard, what has stood out to you so far now that we're on day 3 of SEC Media Days.
I wish that every coach was John Summerall. Wouldn't this be a lot more exciting if every coach that came in here was just John Summerall energy, John Summerall levels of blunt? It would just be so refreshing to see. Unfortunately, that is not the case. But it is a reminder that sometimes you just got to change up the vibe. And I think Florida, despite the fact that it has this looming post-Urban Meyer stat of not having any sort of coaches that have lasted longer than year 4. They needed a vibe change very badly after a disastrous 4-8 season. And you see Kentucky benefit from the vibe change. Will Stein gets here, and he's asked the question in the main media area from my guy Adam Luckett at KSR, why is this different? Why do you think at a place that has not had historic success, you can find that success? And his answer is just perfect. It's because of me, honestly, because of me. Those are the types of coaches that believe in themselves and can show up in an atmosphere like this, which is unique. It is. And they can handle the punches. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to come in and win football games and do things that, let's just say Indiana did in year 1 and year 2 under Kurt Cignetti. But you change up the vibe so that your team is going to come into a season with new energy. And 2 teams that we've already seen with new coaches very much have new energy.
We've seen at Florida in particular. Look, I've interviewed John Summerall back in when he was at the Troy. He was the Troy head coach. He had a great run there. He did great things at Tulane, keeping what Willie Fritz had built and kind of expanding on that. But I've seen a lot of coaches go to Florida that haven't worked. And I've seen a lot of guys that have stellar resumes that have been part of national championship staffs. You're talking about Jim McElwain, and we're talking about Will Muschamp, and you talk about Billy Napier, and all these guys had the resume. Dan Mullen had the resume, national championships as assistants. Some of those even had head coaching experience before they took the Florida job. Okay. None of them worked since Urban. Why?
I wouldn't say that none of them have worked, because they have done things that I think a lot of programs are starved for. Have they had New Year's Six bowl appearances? Yes. Have they been to SEC championship
games?
Yes. Have they, even in bad years, beaten top 10 teams? Yes. They're always capable of doing those things. Why has it not worked long term? It is a pressure cooker job. And when you're at a place that knows what it's like to watch national championship victories come, you are always going to feel like that's the expectation in a given year. I think Florida, like you could break down specifically with some of those coaches of like why it didn't work. I think why it didn't work for Mullen was because of recruiting. I think why it didn't work for Billy was because he was stubborn. I think why it didn't work for Will Muschamp is because he doesn't have a clue what offensive football was. McElwain got in his own head a bit too much, and shark attacks and credit card 9, all that stuff. Like you can point to specific things. It doesn't have to be forever.
Correct.
It doesn't. And I'm not one of these people that's going to tell you John Summerall's making the college ball playoff in year 1 or anything like that. But you need the person with the right mindset. Hire the right person. Easier said than done. But John Summerall's checked every box imaginable so far. Now he's just got to do it on the place that actually matters.
Yeah, and that's the place. But it does feel like it also feels like we're getting these guys in these positions. You mentioned Will Stein and kind of like a confidence, but also a younger guy. And John Summerall's somewhat a younger guy as well when we're talking in the grand scheme of things. And, Alex Golish, younger guy as well, right? It feels like maybe these guys are better at adapting to this modern landscape than maybe the old guard was, whether that's, was Nick or Dabo or even Kirby or however you want to look at it. It feels like maybe the younger guys, because they've come up with it a little bit more, it seems like, I don't know, it just feels like that they know how to adapt to this ever-shifting landscape better than maybe some of the old guard.
At the same time, we did just watch a 64-year-old head coach win a national championship.
It's fair.
Worth mentioning. We're now at a time, and I've brought this set up before, and I asked him about it the other day. Brent Venables is the oldest coach in the SEC. The guy who runs stadiums in his free time. The guy who hikes 15,000 feet mountains and whatnot, even though he's got neck fusion surgery. Like, it's different. Half of the coaches in this conference were born in the 1980s. We almost had our first 1990s born coach, Will Stein, who's my age, which is weird. Like, we would have been in the same class in school. He, Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, all of us, same grade in school. There is a different feeling now. And it's very evident, I think. It is a much younger conference than it was a little bit ago. These teams made changes because of failed expectations, each with their own set of circumstances. But every one of these coaches came in knowing if you don't adapt, you're toast. Like even in Arkansas, they've had so much roster turnover over the last few years with Sam Pittman that Ryan Silverfield's goal is actually to reduce that, and it's to be less portal reliant. And why can't you have roster retention? So, like, it is weird to think about how different this conference looks now compared to even 2023 when Nick Saban was still in this conference. But it's kind of to be expected because, as we've seen, sometimes you flip the switch, you flip the roster, you get the right guy in there, and boom, 2 years you're off and running.
I want to ask you about Alabama because I feel like of any team that's here, and this is a weird thing to say, as long as I've been coming to SEC Media Days and as long as you've been covering the conference, this feels like the biggest question mark. They feel like the team that has the most question marks of anyone in the conference this year heading into the 2026 season. 50 new players on the roster. He only has one offensive starter coming back, and that's a wide receiver that is, let's be honest, is up and down, right, with catching the football. He got the big extension, right? They locked him up. They made it to the playoffs last year. They won a playoff game. But man, it just feels weird about the Crimson Tide this year.
They're going to have their lowest preseason ranking in the AP poll since 2008. That's inevitable. They're coming off a season in which they had their worst run game in program history. They have a new starting quarterback. They recruited in a very different way out of the portal than I expected them to. They did not all of a sudden get these massive upgrades at running back. They did not build the offensive line with experience. They did this rebuild essentially going into year 3, kind of with a 2-year model in mind. That's what I kind of come back to with Kalen DeBoer, who, as you mentioned, got this extension. And the goal of this extension, I think, was to get people away from thinking that his job is in jeopardy this year, which I don't think it is. And you could look at the buyout numbers, and it would certainly agree with that. But we have questions about Alabama because the variance game to game, it was all over the place. And now this is a team that's coming off of a 4-loss season, albeit in a new era of college football, in which you feel like the only thing I feel fully confident in is the secondary. Everything else is a question mark. I think Keelan Russell's going to be great. I really do. I think he's going to be so fun to watch. And I have Bama going 10-2 despite all those questions because the schedule sets up really favorably. The middle part of it is going to be difficult, the 4-game stretch, but they go 2-2. Then it's like, all right, makes the college football playoff. I just think that it's fascinating to see how Kalen DeBoer is handling these questions. And Lord knows there are plenty of them.
That's a good point by you that with the schedule. I want to ask you about Tennessee. When I arrived here, I started hearing buzz and rumblings, and they did go on day one that people were talking about. Well, pressure may be on Josh Heupel, and it took me back a little bit because I went, do you remember the stretch that you had before he arrived in
Decade
Knoxville?
of dysfunction. Yep.
They were in the playoff 2 years ago, and I know last year it didn't work out, right? It was below their expectations. I know they're breaking in new quarterbacks, but are you buying into this thing of what he's been able to do there, that he may be in a pressure cooker this year?
I think he is. And if
Really?
I'm betting today, Josh Heupel survives this season, and it's fine. But a couple of things happened last year that weren't working in his favor. You win 8 games. That's good. That's solid.
It's solid, guys. It's respectable. Yeah.
Not a single one of those FBS teams that you beat ended with a winning record. That's a problem. You got laughed out of the building, your own building, by Vandy. As Josh Heupel said, you can't lose to Vandy. Can't lose to any of your rivals, but you can't lose to Vandy. He knows that. You now have these questions with a totally inexperienced quarterback room, with a head coach who has, more times than not, defaulted to experience in the past. And we wonder, what is it going to look like with this year one Jim Knowles defense after Josh Heupel makes the decision to fire Tim Banks after that defense was a disaster last year? So all these questions about Tennessee are legit to ask for a program that has had stability under Josh Heupel. He's been the adult in the room. He's the guy that is kind of quieting the chaos. But at the same time, everybody's wondering, well, what happens if they go 6-6? Here's the other piece of this, and this came to the forefront 10 minutes into SEC Media Days this week. Michigan needs a new athletic director. What are the chances Michigan kicks the tires on Danny White? Because that changes Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel has had 4 different times in which he's either been extended or given a raise with Danny White as his boss, guy who was his boss at UCF as well. If all of a sudden we're talking about a world in which Josh Heupel has a new boss, and if optics aren't good in what's a challenging latter half of the schedule, then all of a sudden we're talking about, do they need to change up the vibes? Now, this is the same program that staged a coup to get out of paying Jeremy Pruitt $12 million. So, never say never when it comes to this stuff.
Oh, Jeremy.
But that's why I think some of this conversation has formed with Josh Heupel.
I'll get you out here with this. Give me a team that you feel could fall short of all the lofty preseason expectations, and then give me a team that maybe we're not talking enough about. Maybe a team that won't make the playoff, but maybe a team that could upset the apple cart for some of those other teams.
All right, let's start with the team that could be disappointing. I think if Texas doesn't get to a national championship this year, it's disappointing. So I have Texas winning the SEC, but if you're asking me about falling short of expectations, I could see a world in which they come up short of doing that, because I think the postseason is going to be a grind for that team. I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on their offense to score a ton of points, because defensively, I think they have questions with Will Muschamp and all the pieces that they brought in from the portal. It's not a lot of guys that have been on the 40 acres. They're kind of hoping that a lot of this mix and match, I don't want to call it patchwork, but a lot of these mix and match additions are going to be really good on defense.
And it was interesting to bring in Muschamp as DC, but
head coach of the defense, as Steve Sarkisian put it.
Yeah.
So I think Texas is a team that maybe they win the SEC, but they fall short of those expectations, because those expectations are sky high, and very few have those expectations. The team that I don't think is getting talked about enough is the team that was 20 seconds away from playing for a national championship, and that's Ole Miss.
I agree with that.
I think it's kind of wild that Vegas and many others have looked at them and said, well, you don't have Lane Kiffin and Charlie West Jr. anymore, so you're cooked. Last I checked, Lane Kiffin wasn't on that sideline when Pete Golding took down Kirby Smart. Now, Charlie West Jr. was on that sideline. Other coaches were on that sideline. They're not asking Trinidad Chambliss to run a new offense. They're not asking Kejuan Lacey to be anything other than what he was last year, which was one of the best running backs in all of college football. They're not asking this defense to learn a new scheme under Pete Golding. Now, Pete Golding, whether or not he can handle running the defense and being the head coach, all right, like, legit, fair question. I think Ole Miss is being slept on. I think they get to the SEC championship for their first time ever.
Oh, it's crazy to say.
So the two teams that I have in the SEC championship, ironically enough, could be the teams that, exceed expectations and don't meet expectations.
Connor, appreciate the time, brother.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, man, so much. We got to take a time out. When we come back, we'll get an update, on our poll question of the day and get to your comments, and we'll wrap up hour number 1 next.
This is RP3 and Meche, live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
With storm season having arrived, ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana Sports Station, and Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley bring you these hurricane safety tips. Make sure to secure your home and bring in outdoor items before the storm makes landfall. Have an emergency kit stocked with water, food, and medications. Know your evacuation routes and listen to local authorities. Stay informed with a battery-powered radio and make sure you have fresh batteries. Remember, safety is in your hands. These hurricane preparedness tips are powered by Mid-South Power Solutions in Crowley, your local Generac dealer. Visit midsouthpowersolutions.com.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Row coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Summer just got tastier at Mama's Fried Chicken. For a limited time, enjoy our 2-piece dark dinner for only $4.99. Or feed the family with our 8-piece dark chicken, only $7.49. Hot, fresh, and made the way you love it since 1977. With over 20 homemade items, Mama's is sure to please. Stop by our new convenient location in New Iberia and our 2 locations in Opelousas. Don't miss these sizzling summer deals, only at Mama's Fried Chicken. Mama's Fried Chicken, Mama loves you.
You thinking trailers? Think Tibbs. Whether you tug it, tow it, or transport it, Tibbs Trailers is your headquarters for enclosed, flatbed, and hydraulic trailers. You won't find a better selection or a better price than right here. We've got the experts to repair or customize your trailer so it'll be ready for whatever you pull it through. Why would you go anywhere else when you can go to Tibbs Trailers? Now we're talking trailers.
Between Scott and Doosan.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices. To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 1.
MeTV is America's #1 classic television network.
There can only be one #1, me.
MeTV features over 60 of the greatest classic TV series each week.
Go with the winner.
Enjoy dramas, comedies, westerns, sci-fi, and more.
You just watch me.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
MeTV is memorable entertainment television.
We are Lions International, the world's largest service organization. We are volunteers committed to strengthening our communities and supporting those in need, one act of kindness at a time. For more than a century, Lions have been serving a world in need, right here in our community and around the world. Lions International makes the impossible possible. This is your invitation to join us, because the only thing missing from our mission to make a difference is you. Visit lionsclubs.org to find a local Lions Club near you.
It's the conference where everything just means more, including talking season. Everybody! Back to more SEC Media Days from Tampa coverage on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station, and powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac.
And speaking about our friends at Service Chevrolet Cadillac, got to let you know about the great deals they have going on right now that you need to go take advantage of, okay? Every new Chevrolet from Service Chevrolet comes with a lifetime limited powertrain warranty. Limited powertrain warranty, every one of them. That's right. And look, you can get yourself 0% financing for 5 years and make no payments until after Labor Day on the 2026 Trax and the 2026 Equinox, okay? 0% APR for 60 months on a 2026 Chevy Silverado 1500. And look, right now, 2026 Silverado 1500, 12,000 or 13,000 off with trade assistance. 2026 Silverado 1500, 0% for 60 months or 1.9% for 72 months. The all-new 2026 Equinox and Traverse, 5,000 off the MSRP. And the all new 2026 Trax, 2,500 off or 3,000 off with GMF down payment. And even if you're not looking for a new car, remember our friends at Service Chevrolet Cadillac, they want to buy vehicles and will give you top dollar for them. They're your one-stop shop for all your Chevy needs, new and pre-owned sales, certified service and body shop, genuine GM parts, fine line custom accessories, and don't forget about the wash. It's all at Acadiana's #1 Chevrolet dealership, Service Chevrolet Cadillac in Lafayette. Mr. Meche, if you could, please, sir, how about we get an update on our poll question of the day? And let's share some of those comments that our listeners have been kind enough to share on Facebook, X, and on our YouTube channel.
As of right now, which coach from the SEC would you not, and I mean not, want to fight? The options I gave you
not
were...
want to mess with.
No, not at all. Clark Lee from Vanderbilt, Brent Venables from Oklahoma, John Summerall from Florida, or is it one of the other 13 coaches available? Right now, still leading the way is John Summerall, about 38% of the votes. About 12 to 13% apiece have gone towards Coach Lee and Coach Venables. The other 37, 38% are leaning towards other. And there's not too many comments to choose from, but we did have one from Hunter, I believe, on Facebook. He said, wouldn't want to fight any of them, but most of all, probably Clark Lee.
Look, you could go Clark Lee, tough as nails, okay? A little bit on the younger side, right? This is a guy that was a tough, hard-nosed player. I want to say Clark Lee was a fullback back in the day. So you can't go wrong with Clark Lee. You can't go wrong with John Summerall. He's a younger guy. He's got that good energy. He was a former player as well. So he's tough as nails. Great. But you know what? I'm going to echo the sentiment that our guy Connor O'Gara brought up. Brent Venables is the oldest coach in the SEC, and he's got that old man strength. This is a guy that had neck fusion surgery and goes and runs stadium stairs for fun, okay, inside the football stadium, okay? He's not just doing a light workout on the treadmill down in the hotel. My man's doing stadium stairs, okay? And salty old man energy, I'm going to take that all day long. That's the guy that I would not want to mess with. So I vote Brent Venables. The old man strength is another level. You know, they've seen some things. They've done some things. They know how to, exploit weaknesses. Just saying. But keep voting on our poll question of the day. Keep leaving your comments on Facebook, X, and on our YouTube channel. Hour 1 in the books. Hour number 2 coming up.
Get ready for one of South Louisiana's favorite summer traditions. The 17th annual STM Fishing Rodeo is July 31st and August 1st at Quintana Landing in Sycamore Point. Whether you're chasing the winning catch or just looking for a great weekend on the water, enjoy great fishing, exciting prizes, delicious food, and a fun atmosphere, all while supporting St. Thomas More Catholic High School. Register by July 24th at noon to guarantee your official event t-shirt. Register today at stmcougars.net/fishing.
Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home?
Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3 gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
Are your pipes giving you problems? Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait for a plumbing disaster. Call the experts at Ace Plumbing, your trusted local plumbers for over 30 years. At Ace Plumbing, we do it all. Clogged drains, water heater repairs, pipe replacements, and more. With decades of experience, we deliver fast, reliable, and affordable solutions for your home or business.
Ace Plumbing fixed my burst pipe in no time, and the price was great. They're the only plumbers I trust.
From small leaks to big emergencies, Ace Plumbing is just one call away. We're available 24/7 because plumbing problems don't wait. Call Ace Plumbing today at 337-565-2519 or visit us online at aceplumbinginc.com. That's 337-565-2519.
Ace Plumbing, your personal plumber. Let us give you a hand.
Live from Upper Lafayette, this is ESPN 1037 KLWB Carencro Lafayette, KLCJ-FM Oak Grove Lake Charles 1041, a Delta Media station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we gotta go fast now.
The Houston Astros secured the series versus the Miami Marlins with a 5-3 Game 2 win last night as Isak Paredes hit a 3-run homer in the 5th inning. The Astros now sit at 49-54 on the season. Game 3 is tonight with first pitch from Dyken Park set for 7:10. You can listen to the action on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles. The Louisiana Raging Cajuns lost a big piece of their athletic program as AD Dr. Brian Maggard will take the job with the Mizzou Tigers. Maggard was the Vermilion Whites athletic director since 2017. SEC Media Day 3 from Tampa, Florida begins today as RP3 Meche and the Lowdown with D-Lo will broadcast live from there. Today's teams that will be available at the podium and on the floor are the head coach and players from Alabama, Florida, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. In other big news out of college football is that there will be multiple rule changes for next season. First is that an offensive pass interference call will go from 15 to a 10-yard penalty. The other rule change is that a second half targeting penalty will not carry over to the first half of the next game for a player. The rule applies to first-time offenders. And the Miami Dolphins agreed to a 3-year, $51.3 million contract extension with linebacker Jordan Brooks that includes $35 million in guarantees. I'm James Meche, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana Sports Station, your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Dynamic duos are nothing new to Louisiana sports fans. Breeze and Colston, Burrow and Chase. And here in Acadiana, we have our very own dynamic duo.
You're beautiful.
It's the big, bald, bearded, and beautiful one, Raymond Parch III.
I'm sexy and I know it.
And the man with the best head of hair in sports talk radio in Louisiana and Mississippi, James Meche. Here is RP3 and Meche on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
Welcome back in to RP3 and Meche as we broadcast live from Digital Drive, aka formerly known as Radio Row, here inside the Marriott on Water Street in downtown Tampa for SEC Media Days, Day 3 of all of our coverage. And, of course, it's all powered, presented by our friends at Service Chevrolet Cadillac. If you're looking for a new vehicle, if you're looking for a used vehicle, you need to go see our friends over at Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Do so today, tomorrow, next Monday, next Tuesday. It does not matter. Go deal with them They're not pushy. You're going to get the type of treatment that you're looking for and that you deserve. So make sure you go do that and take care of that. Hour one was a good one. We recapped day 2 of SEC Media Days. We went ahead and had back-to-back great interviews with our buddy Jacques Doucet from WAFB in Baton Rouge. Then we talked with Connor O'Gara as well, our old friend, about all things SEC. We have a tremendous poll question of the day. Keep voting on that. Keep leaving your comments on Facebook and on X and on our YouTube channel, ESPN Southwest Louisiana. Do that. And coming up this hour, half an hour from right now, we're going to be talking with David Epps. He is the new Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl CEO. He's in charge of the bowl game. He's also in charge of the kickoff classic that they do. Auburn is going to be taking part in that. They're facing Baylor there in Atlanta inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So we'll have that interview for you a little bit later on. I apologize to my guy BP. He had set up everything up, done everything on social media, and then the Dum talent, the Dum host, confused time zones again. So we had Connor O'Gara slated for 12:30 back home. It was actually slated for 12:30 here, and we're in Eastern time. So time zones are hard, and the big, bald, beautiful one struggles with them from time to time. But we'll have that interview with David Epps for you coming up in half an hour. In about 15 minutes, we're going to talk all things Alabama Crimson Tide with our buddy Drew D'Armond from 97.7 there in Huntsville. We've been talking with him for years. He's one of the first guests I ever had at SEC Media Days back in the day when it was still at Hoover. So that's what we got coming up for you. But right now, I want to take some time here and share with you what Kirby Smart, the Georgia head football coach, and Alex Golesh, the new Auburn head football coach, formerly of South Florida, had to say when they spoke with the media yesterday when it was their turn on the stage. And Kirby Smart mentioned a few different things that were interesting, and he made it in his announcement. This was not asked. This was part of, every coach goes up there, they have a prepared statement, and then they open up the floor for questioning from members of the media there in the main ballroom here on right outside of Radio Row. Actually, if it's right over here, right behind this pillar wrapped with the Florida Gator logo, is right on the other side of that is the doorway into the main media area. And unprompted, Kirby Smart, a 2-time national championship winning coach at the University of Georgia, had this to say about the conversation around the sport that he has played and has coached his entire adult life. Don't forget, he was a star defensive back for Georgia back in the day in the early 80s. Then he, obviously was a longtime assistant for Nick Saban, and then he's taken over his alma mater and has led them to unprecedented success. This is what he had to say about too much talk about the college football landscape going on right now.
This time in college football, the landscape of college football, that's all the talking heads want to talk about. Everywhere I go, TV, media, everybody wants to talk about the landscape of college football. And it's sad that what's forgotten, what wins games. Maybe that becomes boring, maybe that becomes mundane, but not at our place. I've had questions about the expansion, more SEC games, portal, college and federal legislation to navigate the NIL era we're in, players leaving, coaches leaving. That's all people want to talk about. But what we focus on at Georgia is what wins football games. And that's my passion and energy.
Someone could make the joke that maybe they're a little too focused on, having their players get in trouble with law when it comes to driving, but I digress. I don't think anyone asked him that. I was busy being on the air. I would have been the person to ask that question because I can't help myself. Kirby also had some thoughts to say about SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, and this is what the Bulldogs head man had to say.
About Greg Sankey, I want to say a couple comments about him first and foremost. I think I've talked before in this setting about the cost of leadership and shared that with many people a couple years ago. I think nobody embodies that any better in this country in terms of college athletics than Greg Sankey. I think in terms of leadership, the role he's taken on for our conference is incredible. He takes sometimes bullets he doesn't deserve. He stands in front of a challenging group between presidents, ADs, and other administrators and football coaches and basketball coaches, and in a changing landscape, and does an incredible job of holding down the fort, keeping people combined, and has to make really tough decisions for all of us. And we know there's costs with that.
So Kirby coming to the commissioner's defense unprompted. It's interesting. I didn't think that Greg Sankey, with the power that he wields and his standing, needed the Georgia head football coach to come to his standing, to his defense. And but it's good that they're pals. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's sarcasm, by the way. It's interesting what coaches decide to say when in their opening statements. Like, I'm always fascinated by that. Every year, you go, what? What? Okay, I guess. Sure, maybe. I don't know. This is what Kirby had to say about adapting to the game that is going on now in college football.
Yeah, I don't know that we knew that 10 years ago. We didn't know what was going to be going on 3 years. It's changing more rapid, yes. Okay, but what wins football game has not changed. Has the role of the head coach changed? If you want it to, it can. You can be as involved in offense, defense, and coaching and remove yourself from all this changing landscape, or you can dive over here and spend your time over here in the changing landscape and try to navigate it better and let your coaches coach. Each coach has to decide within their own program what they want to major in, because you cannot sit back, let's call it 8 years ago, 6 years ago, pre-COVID, I would say, and say that I'm just going to do this. Okay, I'm going to focus on this and just do this. You've got to be able to wear multiple hats, more than I ever imagined, okay? But you got to choose which hats you want to wear the best. And maybe that's dictated by the strength of your staff.
I don't disagree with what Kirby had to say about that, about staffing and this new landscape that we're in and everything, and then the way that you have to attack the game, the way that you have to do things with everything like that. So it's interesting. Georgia's a fascinating team to me, James. Expectations are they're going to make it to Atlanta and they're going to play for the conference championship and they'll be back in the playoff. But they've kind of underperformed, and a big part of that has been the offense, and it's also been the fact that they haven't got a consistent pass rush as well, right? Like that for a program known for producing so many defensive players that head to the NFL, their ability to be able to rush the passer has been a little off, so to speak. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if Georgia can continue to be in the mix like that, or if someone's going to step up and kind of seize their spot.
And not only that, but you look towards the pass rush and the defensive line. I also look towards the offensive playmakers. Like, I think Gunnar Stockton definitely will take another step forward, since he's one of the few veteran quarterbacks that has been in this league and started and now about to go into his second year. Like, he's got the starts for sure that you would look for in a senior, but at the same time, what about his playmakers? Like, I just don't feel like they've necessarily had the level of playmakers that Georgia used to have just a handful of years ago. So I do also have that question mark about them. Not say that they're all of a sudden going to plummet, but it feels like they don't have necessarily the big-time difference makers of a dominant Georgia team that we saw in the early 2020s.
I would agree with that. So now they've recruited really well.
Yeah.
And they hit the portal. So we'll see if they can bounce. We can see if they can bounce back. Alex Golesh is interesting to me. He's the new man on the block at Auburn. He brings his staff. He brings everyone from South Florida, quarterback, 3 wide receivers, center, and he retained the defensive coordinator as well. And but he was asked during media day when he was up on the stage, do they set goals? What is that like? Is what are the goals? What are the expectations, so to speak? And Alex Golesh was like, we're not doing that.
Yeah, women. So I don't set goals. I've always thought that that's like a little bit like New Year's resolutions. They usually work for a little bit and then you kind of keep it moving. I set standards. We set standards as a program. Our standard is to be the best version of us every single day. The standard when I got to Auburn was to get as good as we possibly can as fast as we can. How do we do that? by our daily process, by how we attack every single day, by the standards within that program that, like I talked about earlier, that as they become upheld by our players and it becomes player-driven, then those standards become reality, become a way of life every single day within the program. I think a successful year one, as I mentioned earlier, is if we can leave year one and have a foundation of who we are, our identity, proof of concept offensively, defensively, so we can continue to recruit to that identity. Right now, we've recruited extremely well. It's a huge credit to our staff, huge credit to our recruiting staff, scouting staff, personnel staff, full-time staff, everybody involved. We're sitting with a top 10 class in the country with zero proof of concept, with a year behind a majority of our league. Now, if you can show proof of concept and lay a foundation for what Auburn football looks like moving forward, then you can continue to recruit and, just as importantly, really more importantly, retain to that.
Good stuff. I think as much as I begrudgingly want to say, I think Auburn made a good hire. And I think they got a guy that's young enough, good hire, transition. He's bringing his quarterback. He's bringing his wide receivers. He's bringing his starting center. Auburn could possibly be a competent football program again. And it's been a while since that has actually been the case. Got to take a timeout. When we come back, our first guest of hour number 2. It's my old friend. He was one of the first guests I ever had when I first went to Media Days in Hoover. He's been kind enough to always come on and chat it up with us. Drew DeArmond, he's the host of Talking Ball on Huntsville's 97.7 ESPN. He'll be joining us next live right here on Digital Drive Radio Row.
This is RP3 and Meche live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The annual Fête de Teche boat procession will be floating down the Bayou Teche on August 15th. Thousands of people come every year to celebrate their faith and South Louisiana heritage. The day begins with Mass by Bishop J. Douglas Desautels at St. Leo's Catholic Church in Leonville before the dozens of boats depart along the Bayou Teche to St. Martinville, retracing the voyage of the Acadians over 250 years ago. There are many stops along the way for people to pray and give public witness to their faith. For more information, visit fetdeteche.org.
ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles is your home for the Houston Astros.
And the Astros stun the Mariners.
Hunter Brown, Yordan Alvarez, and the rest of the Astros are looking to get back to the postseason. You can listen to every pitch, hit, and thrilling victory of the Houston Astros.
Incredible!
As Robert Ford and Steve Sparks will be on the call. Tune in this season for live Astros baseball on Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
The best businesses aren't just businesses, they're neighbors. Here's a message from a proud certified South Louisiana business.
Bro Bridge Truck Stop Casino. They have the newest games around. Hot seat drawings and monthly specials like no one else. Located on the Bro Bridge Highway and on the banks of the Vermilion River. Come out today and try your luck at the Bro Bridge Truck Stop Casino.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local, certified South Louisiana.
Ready to transform your backyard into the summer paradise you've always dreamed of? With Duplessis Builders custom gunite pool packages, we make it simple to own a stunning, long-lasting, in-ground pool built just for you. Choose from classic designs, all customizable to fit your space, style, and budget. Our pools come with quality finishes, energy-efficient equipment, beautiful lighting, and professional installation from excavation to decking, so you can dive in before the next heat wave hits. Don't just dream it, build it. Visit DuplessisBuilders.net.
Are your pipes giving you problems? Is that leaky faucet driving you crazy? Don't wait for a plumbing disaster. Call the experts at Ace Plumbing, your trusted local plumbers for over 30 years. At Ace Plumbing, we do it all. Clogged drains, water heater repairs, pipe replacements, and more. With decades of experience, we deliver fast, reliable, and affordable solutions for your home or business.
Ace Plumbing fixed my burst pipe in no time, and the price was great. They're the only plumbers I trust.
From small leaks to big emergencies, Ace Plumbing is just one call away. We're available 24/7 because plumbing problems don't wait. Call Ace Plumbing today at 337-565-2519 or visit us online at aceplumbinginc.com. That's 337-565-2519.
Ace Plumbing, your personal plumber. Let us give you a hand.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices. To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
Want to get caught up on everything that happened today at the circus that is SEC Media Days in Tampa? Yeah. Not to worry. We've got you covered. Back to more SEC football talk on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station. And powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac.
It's always a treat. One of my highlights of coming to SEC Media Days is always hanging out with my old friend, Drew DeArmond. He's the host of Talking Ball with Huntsville's 97.7 ESPN. He's also a staff writer and contributor. The man can write with TighterInsider.com. He was one of the first guests I ever had my very first time at Media Days back in Hoover. I was a little nervous, a little overwhelmed by it all. And he helped me through it, and he's been a great colleague and a friend ever since. Drew, brother, thank you for being here, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good, Brother Raymond. How are you, man? And it's great to be on with you guys here in the great state of Louisiana and Lafayette and in that community. And I got to say, I'll never forget, this is my 11th, would have been 12, but we know about the pandemic. But my first year, I couldn't sleep the night before. It was in Hoover. I was a nervous wreck. I'd never done free flow radio. It's always planned, and always had guests lined up to join you by phone. And so it's a different experience. But once you go through it, there's still anxiety even the first day of each year of the new event. But there was I've never been to Tampa. This is my my maiden
first
voyage.
time too.
Yeah,
Yep.
so there was still some anxiety even for how this was set up, but once you get into the rhythm, it's always great, and certainly it's a first-class event, and it's great to be on with you guys and talk some ball.
All right, man. I agree with you. Let's dive right in. Kalen DeBoer was on the stage earlier, and the Bama players have been around. I know you've, obviously are locked in like it's nobody's business there in Huntsville. Just give me your thoughts on what you heard from the Bama contingent this morning.
Well, I mean, quiet confidence. I think, they're kind of flying under the radar a little bit because I think that the two teams that will be chosen to play in the championship game in the preseason, which doesn't mean much, but I think it's going to be Texas and Georgia. I think Alabama will be in the top 5, but they're not necessarily even a program that may not even make the college football playoff. So they're kind of a little bit for Alabama under the radar. And so, we were blessed to speak to Coach DeBoer for a few minutes this morning, and of course the 3 young men and Xavier Brown, Bray Hubbard, and Ryan Coleman Williams, and they seem very quietly confident in their process. And and Kalen DeBoer understands what they have to fix. I mean, they've got to get more physical on the line of scrimmage. They've got to be able to run the ball to create some balance. And they just got to be able to, and they have to be ready to go. Because I specifically asked him about East Carolina, and I know people, why? Well, look, it's the opener. We know what happened at Florida State last year. East Carolina is not Florida State usually, but they won 9 games in a bowl last year. They've won bowls the last 2 years. So it's not going to be an easy game. They got some talented new coordinators. And as he said, we've got to be ready to go, ready to play. And so I think they're quietly optimistic, and it's going to be a real an interesting fall in Tuscaloosa, the third one for Kalen DeBoer. Because if you look at the history of Alabama football, Raymond, the third year for head coaches at Alabama has usually been good.
Yeah.
I mean, Gene Stallings won a national championship back in 1992. Even Mike DeBose won an SEC title in '99, which was his third year. Coach Franchione, or as I call him, Fraud Phony, he was there only 2, but his second year was good. And then and then you look, even Mike Shula.
The year 3 is when they went to the Cotton Bowl
exactly.
and beat Texas Tech.
Yeah, they were 10-2. So the third year is usually the litmus test, as if you've built it the right way. And we're certainly going to see that if Kalen DeBoer has done that with the staff adjustments and what they're trying to do.
Is can it be used as an advantage? You said they're quietly confident. A lot of folks are down on them, and I think they're probably going to have the lowest preseason ranking since 2008. I think that's probably what we're anticipating nationally, so to speak. Could that work in their favor? Can it work in their favor that they're being slept on, and maybe they fly under the radar with so much focus being on Texas, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, A&M? Could that be beneficial for them?
Potentially, and then the schedule sets up nicely. I mean, if they're 5-0, then they're going to be in the top 5 probably, and then they're going to be setting themselves up for a run on the back end of the schedule. Now that 4-game stretch, that's going to be a tough one. In the middle of the season, but they need to win the games that they're supposed to, without question. Because look, I mean, no disrespect, but they need to beat that East Carolina team. They need to beat them soundly. It needs to be somewhere around a 42-10, 35-10 type ball game. They have the better team. I'm not worried about the quarterback situation, because all I've seen Kalen DeBoer in his career. At Fresno State, record-setting QB play. When he came to Washington, Penix was not a 5-star recruit. He had actually been cut by Tennessee, and then and had not played well until he elevated his play at Indiana. And then when he left to go to be the head coach at UW, Penix fell off, but then followed him to Washington because he could tell, this guy got the most out of me. We know what happened. Penix is a Heisman finalist, national championship game participant, and then a top 10 pick of the Atlanta Falcons. So, and then look, Jalen Milroe, supremely physically talented, but with limitations. DeBoer gets him drafted in the 3rd round. Alabama's very productive offensively under Jalen Milroe for the most part. And then we know what happened with Ty Simpson. He had virtually no game experience. He'd never started a game, and then even his body of work was a little uneven because he got banged up toward the end. But he still impressed enough people to be a top 15 pick in the draft and the future. I think the successor to Matthew Stafford with the Los Angeles Rams. So I just think overall he's a quarterback whisperer. I think whether it's Keelan Russell, that's my personal choice, or Austin Mack, I think they're going to be really good at quarterback.
And not to mention he's got his right-hand man again with Coach Grubb, right?
Yeah, I mean,
And
of course, this will be year
matters,
2 for Coach
right?
Grubb, but they had to make some adjustments because, Coach Chris Capellic, or Coach Cap, as they called him, he was not a great fit with the staff, I think, with what they were doing schematically. He was a good recruiter, but I don't think he was the right fit. And, from great sources, Adrian Clem, now I will say you learn something new if you pay attention at SEC Media Days every year. And when we had a chance to sit down with Coach DeBoer, he told us that Adrian Clem's son played for him at UW. So while Clem had never worked for Coach DeBoer, there was a connection there. I think they wanted to hire him when initially, on the staff, when they had an opening when he first came to Tuscaloosa. But Coach Clem had a health situation, and as everybody knows, he was on Lincoln Riley's staff last year as a defensive analyst. But they brought him in. He's worked for Bill Belichick. He's been in the NFL and college football, and I think they like the work he's put in with that offensive line from tackle to tackle. And then I thought it was underrated. Nobody's really talked about it, but hiring Richard Owens away from Louisville, I think he's a really good tight ends coach, a guy that's got offensive line coaching experience. And they go after Josh Ford in the transfer portal from Oklahoma State, and I think they believe he can have a huge impact, especially as a blocker on the edge, because their run blocking as a whole last year as an O-line wasn't very good. But another thing, that Josh Cuevas was more of an H and a mismatch guy, and he's going to have a nice NFL career, but he wasn't a great blocker. And they need more physicality on the outside because it's going to help the outside run game. And I know Coach DeBoer wants to have more explosive runs, and guys like freshmen like E.J. Crowell, and Trayshawn Brown can maybe give them a little bit of that.
The young man that's on the cover right here of Athlon Sports College Football Preview right here. If you're watching on the YouTube streams right there. Immensely talented, but wildly inconsistent. And Ryan Williams changed his name in the offseason to honor a family member. So now he's Ryan Coleman-Williams. He's the only offensive starter returning for this team. Is this the year where we see the potential that we've gotten glimpses of, like with this sensational catch against Georgia when he was a freshman, so forth and so forth? Does he finally put it together and be the guy that Alabama folks thought he was going to be from jump?
Well, and he had a really nice impact, especially in the first 5 games as a freshman. Slowed down a little bit, but still, for the most part, I would give that, for a kid that reclassified, a really good first year. And I even kind of mentioned this to him today when we sat down with Ryan Coleman Williams. The journey is somewhat like a Amari Cooper's. Coop was a 1,000-yard receiver as a freshman in 2012. They won the national title. His second year was uneven. There's a lot of drops.
Yeah.
He had some injuries, a hamstring a little bit. I think he's a little banged up, inconsistent. Then we all know what happened as a junior. He broke every record. Biletnikoff, Heisman Trophy finalist. Helped Blake Sims become a really great player because he was a mismatch nightmare. That's the ideal finish for Ryan Coleman Williams. That's what they're hoping for. I still stick to Coach DeBoer's track record of developing receivers at Fresno and Washington. And they've been, I thought Jeremy got a lot better from year 1 to year 2.
I agree.
And I think Ryan Coleman Williams can make that jump. It's hard to believe he's only 19 years old. This is already his 3rd year. And people have to remember, too, he reclassified. So he's needed to mature both emotionally and physically. And I'll tell you another thing he did, besides being dressed exceptionally well on Radio Row today, is he got married. Got married in June. So he's now newly married. His wife picked out the suit. She did a great job. And so I think Ryan's set for a really good year, if not a great year, man. And look, don't sleep on Lottie Brooks either. Lotsier Brooks kind of had a breakout against Oklahoma on the road. I think he's going to be a really good guy. He's going to play a lot in the slot, no doubt. And another little tidbit too, Noah Rogers, who I know you know about, Raymond. He was the portal addition from NC State. He had a really good scrimmage, right before A-Day, had 2 touchdowns, was really asserting himself, and then tore a tendon in his knee during the A-Day festivities in that scrimmage. And that's basically what they are now. And, it was thought that he might be out till midseason. I had already heard, and it got confirmed today on the record, he's way ahead of schedule. So I'm not saying he'll play against East Carolina, but if he can get back instead of midseason by September at some point, that's huge for Alabama because I believe they think he's a better version of Isaiah Horton.
He is the host of Talking Ball on Huntsville's 97.7 ESPN Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. He's also staff writer, contributor for TiderInsider.com. He's also a heck of a colleague, and I consider him a friend. Drew DeArmond, thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Raymond. It's always great to be with you, and we look forward to having you back on soon. But, before LSU gets this thing rolling, and you do a great job, and we appreciate the friendship, man. It's always great.
Appreciate you, bud. Appreciate you. We got to take a time out. When we come back, how about the new Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl CEO, Mr. David Epps, will be joining us talking about them locking up the Peach Bowl to be part of the college football playoff for years to come. How are they navigating this new era with the Kickoff Classic? This year it's Auburn versus Baylor there in Atlanta. We'll talk about all of that coming up next.
This is RP3 and Meche live on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
This game isn't fun. This game is a war.
It's time for the 2-minute drill.
Hurry it up, hurry it up, hurry it up.
Powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you.
Come on, let's go, you guys. Get in here, we got to go fast now.
The Houston Astros secured the series versus the Miami Marlins with a 5-3 Game 2 win last night as Isak Paredes hit a 3-run homer in the 5th inning. The Astros now sit at 49-54 on the season. Game 3 is tonight with first pitch from Dyken Park set for 7:10. You can listen to the action on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles. The Louisiana Raging Cajuns lost a big piece of their athletic program as AD Dr. Brian Maggard will take the job with the Mizzou Tigers. Maggard was the Vermilion Whites athletic director since 2017. SEC Media Day 3 from Tampa, Florida begins today as RP3 and Meche and the Lowdown with D-Lo will broadcast live from there. Today's teams that will be available at the podium and on the floor are the head coach and players from Alabama, Florida, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. In other big news out of college football is that there will be multiple rule changes for next season. First is that an offensive pass interference call will go from 15 to a 10-yard penalty. The other rule change is that a second-half targeting penalty will not carry over to the first half of the next game for a player. The rule applies to first-time offenders. And the Miami Dolphins agreed to a 3-year, $51.3 million contract extension with linebacker Jordan Brooks that includes $35 million in guarantees. I'm James Meche, and this has been your 2-minute drill on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana Sports Station, your home for the LSU Tigers and Houston Astros.
The 2-minute drill has been powered by B1 Bank. Visit b1bank.com to find a location near you. Do you need more of the fellas here on Southwest Louisiana's sports station? Of course you do. So go make sure and subscribe to ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles YouTube channel at ESPN_SWLA. Don't forget to turn that bell on so you get notifications for new episodes of Four Tire Change Podcast, where Dawson Iserlo talks all things NASCAR, or Cleats and Sneaks with James Meche. Get yourself more of Southwest Louisiana's sports station at ESPN_SWLA on YouTube.
Do you know how many tax resolution firms have been forced to close because they were taking advantage of people or have gone out of business? It happens all the time. Hi, this is Kerry Bryson with the Bryson Law Firm. As a matter of fact, they're national tax relief companies that are currently under court orders to cease operations. So if you have IRS issues, do not fall for the threats and scare tactics of the national so-called tax relief companies. The Bryson Law Firm has been doing this for decades. We have a AAA BBB rating, and our entire focus is IRS problems and tax liability issues. An IRS problem is a legal problem. Let the Bryson Law Firm help you get relief the right way. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Bryson Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Don't put it off any longer. Call the Bryson Law Firm. Our headquarters are in Lafayette, and we have offices statewide. Or visit BrysonLawFirm.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm. The Bryson Law Firm. LSB filing number LA2519684.
Get ready for one of South Louisiana's favorite summer traditions. The 17th annual STM Fishing Rodeo is July 31st and August 1st at Quintana Landing in Sycamore Point. Whether you're chasing the winning catch or just looking for a great weekend on the water, enjoy great fishing, exciting prizes, delicious food, and a fun atmosphere, all while supporting St. Thomas More Catholic High School. Register by July 24th at noon to guarantee your official event t-shirt. Register today at stmcougars.net/fishing.
When strength matters, go to apfabllp.com. Precision built to last, from heavy-duty aluminum structural welding using TIG, MIG, and stick to custom metal fabrication designed exactly for your project. Need safety inspections, weld analysis, or 24-hour metal repairs? Trust A&P to get the job done. For quality craftsmanship and dependable service, visit apfabllp.com. That's apfabllp.com. A&P Fabrication and Construction. Built strong, built right.
Oh, look who's here.
Everybody Loves Raymond is on MeTV.
Who told you that?
Raymond!
America's #1 classic TV network.
Nothing even comes close.
Enjoy 2 back-to-back episodes every weeknight.
We're doing it twice.
Watch Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, it's all about you, Raymond.
Weeknights starting at 8 on MeTV.
Watch MeTV Acadiana on KLWB, over the air on channel 50.1. Check your local cable listings for the channel in your area.
Want to get caught up on everything that happened today at the circus that is SEC Media Days in Tampa? Yeah. Not to worry. We've got you covered. Back to more SEC football talk on ESPN 103.7 Lafayette and 104.1 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station. And powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac.
Welcome into RP3 and Meche as we're broadcasting live from Radio Row here for SEC Media Days in Tampa. And joining us now is the man who's the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl CEO, Mr. David Epps, joins us here. David, good day. It's great to finally get to meet you in person.
My pleasure to be here with you. Any day where we can talk college football is a good day, isn't it?
Let's talk a little bit about the transition for you from taking over for Mr. Gary, who we've known for many years. He was actually one of the first guests we ever had on Radio Row years ago in Hoover. You know, what was that transition like to be able to kind of take over?
Well, you know, I started in 1994 as an intern How about that? Obviously, I'd probably started when I was 10 because I looked so incredibly young, right? Face for radio. But when, we hired Gary in '98, and I got to work with him for 27 years. And, I always sort of had my eyes on this position, knowing that when he was going to retire, I would have my chance. I love our organization. I love what it does. I love the people I do it with. And I love the impact that it has on student athletes in our city. So the transition it's been sort of a dream come true for me. It's still work. It's been a challenge because obviously I've got really big shoes to fill. As my wife says, it's a good thing you have big feet. So we're the great news, and it sounds a little hokey, but we don't need to fix our floor. I mean, we're an organization. We got a solid floor. We need to figure out how we raise our ceiling, and continuing to be a part of the playoff is that ceiling. So we got to figure out where we go from here.
And that was going to lead me to my next question is, obviously you guys have been a critical part of the college football playoff and the college football playoff expansion with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl being part of that rotation. How important was that for you guys to be able to secure that moving forward in the years ahead with the expanded playoffs?
Absolutely critical. We've always aspired, even when we were what people would have considered a lower tier bowl game, which was as recently as the late 90s. We aspired beyond our station, so to speak. So it's a little bit of the, dress for the job you want. And we always took that approach in how we did our business, how we treated people, how we work with our partners. And so getting into the playoff was critical to realize that part of the vision. Once we got in the playoff, our goal is, well, let's not be satisfied. Let's be the best of these bowl games. But this most recent sort of extension that we've just announced dates with the CFP for the next 6 years, which locks us in as a part of this playoff enterprise. And we know it's going to change. It's going to be tweaked over the next 5 or 6 years. But, we're here to serve college football, and we're here to serve the city of Atlanta. So the good news is we can do both, and we're going to be a part of a fun 6 years as college football, because we know it's going to keep evolving.
We've had SEC Media Days multiple times held in the College Football Hall of Fame, which, of course, is one of the great facilities, great museums in the country, and it's right there in Atlanta. How important is that to be tied with that as well? Because Atlanta not only has that, but it has so many other things like the Coca-Cola Museum, and obviously, of course, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl was played. How important is it to continue building on Atlanta's reputation as being a destination?
It's really important. And we were actually the organization that attracted the College Football Hall of Fame to move from South Bend to Atlanta. So we're financially invested in the hall significantly, but we're also emotionally invested in the hall, because it's the home for college football and the great men who have created it. And Atlanta, though, as we unabashedly call the capital of college football, is built for college football games, fans, coaches. The travel's easy. We have great partners in the city like the Atlanta Sports Council and the Convention and Visitors Bureau, who know that if we keep doing the job we've done, which even we saw as recently as the World Cup, we're going to continue to be a great destination for anybody and everybody in college football. I mean, look at Big Ten, ACC, SEC, even Big 12. The fan bases that are in the city of Atlanta and Metro Atlanta are huge for almost all those schools.
What are some of the things that you and your staff are doing to make the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl experience, not only for the teams playing in it, their administration, but the fans of those teams? What are you guys doing tweaking, if you will, to make that just a memorable experience and one that folks can't wait to be part of again and again and again?
That's a great question, because we look at our customers are the conference commissioners, the coaches, the players, the fans, and members of the media, right? All of you guys are coming to our city. And so we're going to it's interesting. If you go back 10 years, the bowl experience was a 5 or 6 day reward for players, and they weren't getting paid. That was part of their reward. Now it is, for at least the 6 playoff bowls, it's a business trip. So rather than a very tangible way to explain this, rather than take the team and show them the city of Atlanta, we don't have time to do that anymore. We bring the city of Atlanta to the teams. We try to do the same thing with the fans. So your hotel experience hopefully gets elevated. When you come to our fan festival, it's a free ticket. We want to make sure that it is something that no matter who you are, if you're a member of the media, it's sort of frictionless. We try to give you a good hotel rate. So for us, it's looking at every level of each of those constituencies and saying, how can we make this as easy and positive an experience as possible? And a lot of times it's in little things. The fact that we have fan-friendly pricing in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the fact that it's super easy whether you drive or fly, the fact that we're one of the few cities in the country where you literally don't have to get in a car when you go from your hotel room to the stadium. You start adding all those things up, and that's where we focus. How do we make sure that each of you guys who are coming to our city walk away and say, that was the easiest one I've ever been to?
We're talking with David Epps. He's the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl CEO. He joins us here on RP3 and Meche as we're broadcasting live once again from Radio Row here inside of SEC Media Days in Tampa. Let's talk a little bit about the Kickoff Classics, which the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl has kind of been synonymous with, Atlanta's been synonymous with. I know with all the realignment and the expansion, how has that impacted how you guys organize that and plan that out year in, year out?
It definitely has impacted it because the conferences obviously going to the 9 games reduces available inventory for neutral site games. In many cases, these conference versus conference blockbuster matchups that were home and homes, they may not have a place on the schedule anymore. So you have some of these schools, a Georgia, Florida State, for example. I think Ohio State, Alabama still have it home and home on the schedule. There may not be room for them anymore. So the challenge in the neutral site games is also impacted by the coaches aren't sure whether or not the selection committee at the end of the season is going to value wins versus strength of schedule. So, when we started this deal in 2008 and you asked Saban and Sweeney if they were interested in playing, they'd play anybody, anywhere, anytime. And losing that game, the opening game of the season against another top 5 opponent, didn't kill it. They still had a fighting chance. Right now, coaches are a little reluctant to risk that loss. And you also have the chance for schools to get fans on campus, sell them premium inventory. They're investing in stadiums and fan experiences more than ever. So it's definitely going to be a challenge for these things in the future, but we feel like there's still a home for it. It may not be as frequent or as common as it once was, but as we said, Atlanta's built for these kind of events, so we feel like the deal we did with Auburn this year, which essentially benefits their student athletes from an NIL standpoint, is one of the things that might differentiate us and help teams to want to keep coming to Atlanta.
We'll wrap it up with this. What do you guys have lined up for the Kickoff Classics? What is on the books, the matchups moving forward?
Well, honestly, we're still working on them because of the factors that I just described. But at ACC and Big 12 Media Days the past couple of weeks and then this week, we have constant conversations with coaches and athletic directors who are interested, but only if their schedules work. So we're all trying to find out whether there's some open schedules to get a game on the books for next year, and then even looking beyond. We're having a lot of conversations. We just haven't booked them yet.
Well, David, greatly appreciate your time. Enjoy Media Days. I know it can be slightly exhausting, but we appreciate you making the time, and good luck this season with everything that you guys are going to be doing in Atlanta.
My pleasure. Look forward to seeing you down the road.
This is RP3 and Mesh live on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station.
If you're needing to get yourself a new rifle or shotgun for hunting season, or maybe picking up a new handgun to protect your home and your family, or you're just running low on ammo, go see my friends over at Louisiana Gun Shop located at 2927 Highway 90 East in Broussard today. They're open Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. until 6 o'clock in the evening, and they have a tremendous selection of both new or used handguns, rifles, shotguns, ammo, suppressors, and even apparel. And they pride themselves on spending their money locally because they're a small business themselves. That's why they've teamed up with a local finance company that's currently offering 0 down and same as cash for 1 year. That's right. If you're a little short on cash, you can finance your guns, ammo, and even suppressors. Go see my friends at Louisiana Gun Shop located at 2927 Highway 90 East in Broussard today and tell them RP3 sent you.
ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles is the proud winner of 4 2026 LAB Prestige Awards, including Best Use of Digital Media, Foot's Friday Fury, Best Live On-Site Remote for our Super Bowl Radio Row coverage, Best Promotion for our No Shave November initiative, and Radio Young Professional of the Year for Dawson Iserloh. We're proud of being Southwest Louisiana's sports station and are humbled to be recognized by the Louisiana Association of Broadcasters.
Let's try something new, like not overloading your outlets. Up next, from Mr. Electric. You know that power strip and your extension cord? They are not a permanent lifestyle choice. You don't have to be afraid to get rid of them if they're damaged. And keep water far away from electricity. And if something sparks, buzzes, or smells like regret, call a professional. Because saving a few bucks is not worth turning your living room into a campfire. Home electrical safety. It's not shocking, unless you ignore it.
If you would like to learn more, visit MrElectric.com.
You're looking for not only a good electrician, but one you can trust. Here's Sean Dorey with Mr. Electric.
Yeah, I love what I do. I love serving our community. It's a pleasure, it really is. Our reviews speak for the passion that I have. You know, we want to do good business. We want to be someone that you can trust to come in to your home.
Call Mr. Electric today or see us on Facebook.
And now time for the Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
Ever wonder why bugs seem to love your home as much as you do? One big reason: moisture. Roaches, termites, and ants are drawn to damp areas. Check under sinks, around windows, and in attics for leaks and excess moisture. A little home maintenance goes a long way in keeping pests out. Got unwanted guests? Call Sugarland Exterminating at 337-367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com for more information.
Sugarland Exterminating. Pest-free environment we're creating. Spiders, roaches, rats, and mice. Those awful termites are not so nice. Get rid of all your pests right now. Call Sugarland Exterminating.
Termites, they're here. They're invasive. They can destroy your home if left untreated. Sugarland Exterminating has been in business for over 50 years, and they have the experience to effectively treat termites. Call 367-1414 or visit sugarlandexterminating.com.
And that has been your Expert Minute, brought to you by Sugarland Exterminating.
Hi, I'm Nancy Landry. No matter what part of our great state you call home, Louisiana's elections are an important part of who we are. In 2026, closed party primaries will change how some of those elections happen, so you'll want to know what to do. Keeping your registration current ensures you'll get the right party-based ballot. Remember, this change only applies to certain offices. To learn more, visit govote.com or download the GoVote app.
Paid for by the Louisiana Secretary of State's office.
Want to get caught up on everything that happened today at the circus that is SEC Media Days in Tampa? Yeah. Not to worry. We've got you covered. Back to more SEC football talk on ESPN 1037 Lafayette and 1041 Lake Charles, Southwest Louisiana's sports station. And powered by Service Chevrolet Cadillac.
Oh, welcome in to RP3 and Mesh as we're broadcasting once again live from Digital Drive, Radio Row, here inside the Marriott on Water Street in downtown Tampa Bay for SEC Media Days. Man, this was a very, very good day for us here on the row, on the drive. I'm incorporating it. You know, look, James, I know you've been holding it down back inside the Beal and Air Bear studios all week. You're going to be doing that for the rest of the week as well. But I just wanted to let you know something. Like, you're on top of it back there. Bravo. Okay, we couldn't do this without you. Absolutely. But my guy D'Lo, he's been there to make me better. He's been reminding me, hey, big bald beautiful one, it's not Radio Row. They want to use the words digital drive. He's making sure I'm on top of it, James. Not to worry.
He's been drilling it in your head.
Yeah, he has been. I want to take a moment to thank our guest. We had Jacques Doucet on from WAFB talking all things LSU and SEC Media Days. Love catching up with him. We had our buddy Connor O'Gara talking all things SEC. He has some thoughts there about some of the bigger teams, which is interesting. You know, he sit there, he's high on Ole Miss. Yeah, you know, LSU people, Louisiana people don't want to hear that. But when I'm talking to people so far this week, they feel the opposite about the chances for Ole Miss this year. And, you know, in the future, that's different. But this year, a little bit different. So appreciate Connor joining us. Of course, Drew DeArmond, my buddy from Huntsville Radio, joining us to talk all things Alabama. And then a good conversation there with the new Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl CEO, Mr. David Epps. So appreciate that. And want to thank all of our guests for making time for us today. Mr. Meche, before we wrap things up today, and of course, all of our coverage here on RP3 and Meche and on the Lowdown with D'Lo is powered by our friends at Service Chevrolet Cadillac. Go get yourself a new car, SUV, or pickup truck today. They have great deals on all of those. Can we get an update on that poll question of the day?
Yeah, trying to remember the overall votes and the new overall votes. Clark Lee is like really close with John Summerall as like the two coaches that nobody wants to pick a fight with. Brand Venables is a sleeper pick. We heard from Connor earlier in the day kind of talk about it, how much of a freak he is. He's definitely gotten love throughout the day as well. And then also, cannot forget about other. Not quite sure which ones specifically people are saying that they don't want to pick a fight with, but there's definitely votes towards any of the other 13 out there.
I stand by my stance. The old man strength. Old man energy. A guy that looks like he's been there, he's done that. He's going to know about your youthful exuberance. He's going to know that you're going to try to come in hot and try to knock him out in the first round, but he's going to be diligent. He's going to be methodical, right? This is a man who had neck fusion surgery who's running stadium stairs. Okay? Give me Brent Venables. I want the old salty dog, so to speak. That's not a guy that I want to get in a fight with. I'm just saying. That's a guy that I don't want to have in my corner to take out some young bucks. Just saying. But keep voting on our poll question of the day. Keep leaving your comments on Facebook, X, and on our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to that. Not only can you stream all of our live and local shows, we also put up original content on our YouTube channel, ESPN Southwest Louisiana, and you can comment there, and we'll react to your comments as well during the show. So don't forget to do that. Tomorrow is the final day live here in Tampa for us. LSU Day is tomorrow. We're going to have the commissioner on, Greg Sankey, on live with us here on RP3 and Meche, and a slew of other surprise guests. That's going to do it for us today. Up next, how about 2 tremendous hours with the LAB award winner, the son of Iceman, 2 degrees himself, Mr. Dawson Iserlo. The Lowdown with D'Lo, next, live from Digital Drive.
Around Acadiana, community means supporting the businesses that make our hometown special. That's why we're proud to spotlight local companies that are certified South Louisiana.
Delta Home Center and Delta Trailer Sales, your one-stop shop for utility and cargo trailers. Heavy-duty dump and gooseneck trailers, portable buildings, cabins, decks, porches, fences, carports, and site-built metal shops. Located at Exit 7 in Carencro or at deltatrailersales.com.
When you support local businesses, you strengthen the communities we call home. Shop local, support local. Certified South Louisiana. Did you know you can get great tasting Clear Springs artesian water delivered to your office or your doorstep at home? Clear Springs is 100% local with their own bottling facility at the world-famous Kentwood Aquifer, no chemicals added. Just pure Kentwood, Louisiana artesian water. Clear Springs Water offers delivery of 5 or 3 gallon water service with a hot and cold temperature water cooler or even single-serve bottles delivered to your home or office. Easy to reach, clearsprings.net, then contact us tab or 337-519-3563.
Before hitting the road, get hooked up at Match Trailers on Bertrand Drive. Everything you need from truck equipment,